Alexander, a wealthy man, surprisingly asks a beggar to be his girlfriend at his ex-wife's wedding. But when the woman arrives at the party, everyone is shocked. In an imposing mansion, surrounded by well-kept gardens and shimmering fountains, lives a wealthy businessman named Alexander. He is known for his immense fortune, acquired through years of hard work and shrewd financial decisions. But all this wealth is not enough to bring complete joy to his life, as his only daughter, Sarah, is ill. Sarah is a sweet and kind girl, her eyes usually radiant with life, now clouded by illness. She has been diagnosed with a rare condition affecting the bone marrow, and the only hope for her cure is a bone marrow transplant. Alexander would do anything to save his precious daughter, but so far, no compatible donor has been found. Time is running out, and anguish hangs over the luxurious mansion like a dark shadow. In the shadows of bustling streets, where concrete meets forgotten alleys, lives a lonely woman known only as Rosa. She is a woman battered by life, with disheveled hair and tired eyes that have seen more than anyone should see. Rosa is one among the many invisible who inhabit the sidewalks forgotten by society. Her home is a piece of dirty cardboard, her bed is the hard ground, and her ceiling is the relentless sky that shows no mercy even to the most destitute. Rosa faces the challenges of begging every day, battling hunger, cold, and the indifference of people who pass by her as if she were an insignificant shadow. But behind the worn appearance and tattered clothes, there is a story of pain and perseverance. Rosa had a life before becoming a beggar. She had dreams and hopes that were shattered by life's cruel circumstances. And even now, in the depths of misery, there is a faint flame of determination burning inside her, a will to survive despite all odds against her. On a sunny morning, the streets are filled with hurried people, each immersed in their own frantic routine. Alexander, wearing his impeccable gray suit and shiny shoes, walks with determined steps toward his next commitment. He is lost in his thoughts, preoccupied with the business that consumes him day and night. Meanwhile, Rosa sits in a dark corner of the sidewalk, her tired expression hiding the pains of a life of deprivation. She timidly extends her hand, hoping that someone, anyone, will cast a compassionate glance her way. And then, in a moment of divine coincidence, their paths cross. Alexander, distracted by the concerns of daily life, bumps into Rosa without noticing. He stops abruptly, about to apologize hastily, but something holds him back. The gazes of Alexander and Rosa meet, and for a moment, the world around them seems to disappear. There is an inexplicable connection between them, a mutual understanding that transcends the social and economic barriers that separate them. Alexander, with his heart hardened by the pressures of business life, feels something different. He feels a genuine connection to Rosa. He sees beyond the worn appearance and recognizes the beauty that shines in her tired eyes. Rosa, in turn, feels a wave of comforting warmth flood her being. She is not accustomed to kindness or attention, especially not from someone like Alexander. But there, in that tumultuous moment, she feels truly seen, truly valued. In a surprising twist of fate, the unexpected encounter between Alexander and Rosa turns into something special. It is not just a fleeting incident in the bustling streets of the city, but rather a moment of connection between two people who would normally never cross paths. As the hustle and bustle of the street continues around them, Alexander and Rosa remain there, caught in the magical moment they shared. Finally, it is Alexander who breaks the silence, speaking sincerely. "I'm sorry for bumping into you," he begins, his voice laden with an emotion he rarely shows to others. Rosa responds timidly, "No problem. It's okay. I should apologize." After that day, Alexander always passed by there and saw Rosa, and they always greeted each other. Until one day Alexander invited Rosa for a coffee. She couldn't believe it. How can a man like him be inviting me for coffee?" she thought. Alexander felt at ease whenever he met with Rosa. Something he hadn't felt in a long time with any woman. Not even Alexander understood what he was feeling at that moment. Something strange, different from anything he had ever experienced, was happening. How could he, a wealthy man, feel so comfortable with a beggar, a homeless woman? What did she have that was different? After another tough day, Rosa was sitting on a wooden bench in a quiet park near the place where she always stayed. Since Alexander didn't see her at her usual spot, he walked a bit until he found her sitting on a bench, her figure hunched and lonely contrasting with the serene beauty of the surroundings. Slowly, they engage in an unassuming conversation, sharing life stories and past experiences. It is in this atmosphere of mutual trust that Alexander decides to open his heart to Rosa, revealing the anguish that consumes him day and night, his daughter Sarah's illness. A sense of sadness washes over Alexander's face as he speaks about his daughter. It's as if, for a moment, the armor of a successful businessman disappears, revealing the worried heart of a father. Rosa listens attentively, absorbing Alexander's words with a mixture of compassion and surprise. She never expected to hear such a personal confession from someone like Alexander, a stranger in her life until recently. The sun's rays filtering through the tree leaves create an aura of hope around them. The gentle sound of the wind in the leaves seems to soothe Alexander's words as he describes Sarah's struggle against the illness and the desperate search for a bone marrow donor. My daughter, Sarah," Alexander continues, choosing each word carefully, "she's sick. She needs a bone marrow donor to survive." "I would give anything to find a donor for Sarah," Alexander continues, his voice faltering slightly. But so far, we've had no luck." Rosa feels a tightness in her chest as she hears the anguish in Alexander's voice. She knows what it's like to fight against the odds, to fight for something as precious as the life of a loved one. Rosa thinks about everything Alexander has told her about Sarah and decides to help. She then contacts Alexander to ask him to help her undergo testing to see if she is a possible donor for Sarah. She faces the procedure with courage, aware of the risks and implications, but driven by a deep desire to help. And when the results come back, it's as if the universe is aligned in their favor. Rosa is a perfect match for Sarah. The initial shock gives way to a mixture of hope and gratitude, an opportunity to give Sarah a new lease on life. Finally, the surgery is performed and completed successfully. Alexander feels a mix of gratitude, compassion, admiration, and attraction for Rosa, but he still doesn't know how to repay what she, a homeless woman, did for his daughter. His ex-wife's wedding is approaching and he still doesn't have a date. When he looks at the invitation in the living room, Alexander remembers Rosa. With the invitation in his hands, he takes a deep breath, gathers his courage, meets with Rosa, looks into her eyes, and makes an unusual proposal, one he never imagined making. "Rosa," he begins, his voice firm and determined, "I know this may seem strange, but I would like to make a special request to you." Rosa stares at him, her eyes filled with curiosity and hesitation, unsure of what to expect. "I would like to invite you to be my girlfriend for a day," Alexander continues, choosing each word carefully. "At my ex-wife's wedding. It's a way to thank you for everything you've done for Sarah and for us, by donating your bone marrow." Rosa is speechless, the invitation hanging between them like a bond that unites them in a unique and meaningful moment. She never dreamed of being someone's girlfriend, let alone for a day, and certainly not at someone else's ex-husband's wedding. But there's something in Alexander's sincerity, in the gratitude he expresses, that makes her consider the proposal. After a moment of tense silence, Rosa finally responds with a slight smile. "I accept," she says, her voice echoing with determination. "It will be an honor for me." The night is filled with anticipation as the guests gather in the elegant ballroom. The chandeliers sparkle, the flowers perfume the air, and the music floats gently in the ambience, creating an atmosphere of celebration and joy. Among the guests, there is a buzz of lively conversations and laughter as everyone eagerly awaits the moment the girlfriend will enter. Then, the murmuring abruptly ceases as Rosa enters the ballroom, stunning in a dress that shines like a star in the night sky. Her hair is impeccably styled, a crown of flowers adorning her golden curls, and her eyes sparkle with newfound confidence and determination. The guests are left speechless by Rosa's transformation, unable to believe that the humble woman they knew had become a vision of beauty and elegance. Murmurs spread through the ballroom as people try to make sense of what they are seeing before them. Alexander watches Rosa with pride and admiration, his heart overflowing with gratitude to have her by his side. He rises to meet her, a radiant smile lighting up his face, and offers her his arm with kindness and courtesy. Rosa accepts with a graceful nod of her head, her steps confident and steady as she approaches the center of attention. She feels like she's in a dream, surrounded by the beauty and luxury that seems so distant from the life she used to know. As Rosa and Alexander make their triumphant entrance, the ballroom radiates with electrifying energy, a mixture of admiration, surprise, and curiosity. All eyes are fixed on Rosa, a figure who went from invisible to unforgettable in a matter of seconds. The guests' surprised looks echo through the ballroom, creating an atmosphere charged with suspense and disbelief. Among them is the girlfriend, Alexander's ex-wife, an elegant and imposing woman who appears unsettled by Rosa's presence. By her side stands her fiancé, a man of rigid posture and keen gaze, whose expression reveals a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. As Rosa and Alexander make their entrance, the whispers intensify, people trying to understand the story behind the stunning woman who is now center stage. Some whisper about Rosa's miraculous transformation, while others speculate about her connection to Alexander and his family. Alexander's ex-wife, with her dignity wounded by Rosa's presence, remains reserved, but her eyes betray the intrigue she feels. She exchanges a quick glance with her fiancé, and the two share a brief murmur, discussing quietly what to do in the face of this unexpected situation. Meanwhile, Alexander and Rosa move through the ballroom, greeting the guests with warm smiles and kind words. Alexander introduces Rosa as his girlfriend, the woman who changed his life. With a radiant smile, Alexander turns to Rosa at his side, gently holding her hand as he prepares to introduce her to those who are important in his life. His eyes shine with a mixture of emotion and determination, ready to face any reaction that may arise. "Dear friends and family," he begins, his voice firm and clear. "I would like to introduce you to someone very special. This is Rosa." The attendees turn to observe Rosa, whose presence radiates a newfound confidence and dignity. She meets their gaze serenely, knowing she is about to face a crucial moment in her journey. Rosa is no longer the beggar you knew, Alexander continues, his voice filled with evident pride. "As she is my girlfriend, and the woman whose generous heart and selfless sacrifice brought light into our lives." Alexander's friends and family exchange glances, surprised and impressed by the revelation. Some smile in approval, recognizing the remarkable transformation they have witnessed in Rosa. Others remain silent, absorbing the news with a mixture of shock and curiosity. As Alexander introduces Rosa as his girlfriend, a wave of surprise and discomfort spreads among the guests. Some whisper among themselves, casting glances of disbelief and mistrust. For many, it's difficult to reconcile the image of the beggar they knew with the elegant and radiant woman before them. However, as Alexander and Rosa share their story, a respectful silence descends upon the ballroom. Alexander's sincere words reveal poignant details of Rosa's life, from her time on the streets to the moment she decided to donate her bone marrow to save Sarah's life. The guests begin to notice Rosa's nobility of spirit and to understand the depth of her sacrifice. They find themselves touched by the generosity and courage she has shown, facing unimaginable challenges with unwavering determination. Tears start to well up in the eyes of those present, emotions running high in the face of the transformative power of Rosa's story. They realize that behind the humble appearance, there is a woman of incredible strength and kindness. They listen attentively, absorbing every word with fascination and curiosity. Some are moved by Rosa's story, inspired by her generosity and courage, while others remain skeptical, unable to accept the transformation they have witnessed before their own eyes. In the midst of the wedding celebration, Rosa, a woman who was once a beggar, becomes the center of attention, defying social conventions and challenging everyone's expectations. The bride becomes enraged for no longer being the center of attention. Alexander managed to get back at his ex-wife, who betrayed him with her current husband on the day of their wedding, but in a way that even he didn't expect. As the night progresses and the guests continue to celebrate, Alexander and Rosa find themselves immersed in an intimate and profound conversation. They share stories, laughter, and even some tears, opening up to each other in ways they never imagined possible. In the glow of candlelight and beneath the sparkling stars, they discover they have more in common than they could have ever imagined. Both have faced extraordinary challenges in their lives, both have known pain and loneliness in different, yet equally significant, ways. And it's in this moment of vulnerability and honesty that love begins to blossom between them. A love that transcends differences in social and economic status, a love born from mutual understanding, mutual respect, and mutual admiration. As the sun begins to rise on the horizon, Alexander looks into Rosa's eyes with renewed determination. He knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that she is the woman he wants to spend the rest of his life with. With his heart pounding with emotion, Alexander kneels before Rosa, pulling a small box from the pocket of his jacket. Tears of joy fill Rosa's eyes as she realizes what is about to happen. "Rosa," Alexander says, his voice choked with emotion. "You brought light into my life in my darkest moment. You have shown me the true meaning of love, compassion, and generosity. I cannot imagine my life without you. So, I ask you, will you marry me?" Tears stream down Rosa's face as she looks at Alexander, her heart overflowing with happiness. With a radiant smile, she responds, "A yes, Alexander, I accept. I accept with all my heart." And so, in the midst of his ex-wife's wedding celebration, Alexander and Rosa celebrate their own love, a love that was born from the union of two souls destined to find each other. It is a moment of pure ecstasy and gratitude, a moment that marks the beginning of a journey of love, adventure, and happiness forever. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your like and tell me here in the comments, if it were you, would you have accepted the invitation to pretend to be someone's girlfriend or boyfriend for a day, even if they were rich?